welcome everybody back to the Big Book Roundtable and the RICO 12 family of recovery resources targeted at people from all backgrounds, faiths, and places dealing with addictions of all varieties. We're also a resource for the loved ones of addicts. I am Justin B., a child of an all-powerful, perfectly loving God and a multidisciplinary addict, living in the miraculous recovery promised and outlined in the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. And I'm joined today by Nikki M. and David G. The three of us are living in the miracle of recovery one day at a time. Nikki, why don't you take just a minute, introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Nikki M., and I'm a grateful member of many fellowships. I'm seeking God today at this table with two of my favorite humans on the planet. Thanks for having me.
And we're happy to be, at least I'll speak for myself, and I'm sure I speak for David. We're happy to be with you too, Nikki. David, why don't you introduce yourself also?
Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Nikki. Yes, it's always a pleasure to be here with you guys. I'm David G. I'm an alcoholic addict of many sorts from Oklahoma in the USA. I've been given the gift of recovery since August 8th of 1994. I'm truly grateful to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, David. You know, as we continue marching this, trudging this happy road of destiny, or this road of happy destiny through the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, I'm just grateful to be able to associate with you two and really learn and grow from this association. And we hope you out there in the listening audience have also been able to apply so many of these principles as we go through the Big Book. Today, we continue that walk through the Big Book, and we'll be on page 83. Bottom of page 83 and reading through the about the middle of page 84. These are commonly known as the ninth step promises, or I've heard people just call them the 12 promises, but there's a lot more than 12 promises in the Big Book. But yeah, these I'm excited to get into these as we talk about this today. But before I start reading in there, I want to put out there, if anybody out there in the listening audience is feeling a nudging to contribute to this cause, as we have, several things in this family of RICO 12 that we are working on, and each of them take, some financial backing, please consider donating. You can find the links in the chat, or I'm sorry, in the show notes of this meeting. And if that's where your higher power is guiding you, we appreciate that. If not, share this message with others. Pass this along. If you're working with a sponsee who's struggling on a certain part of the Big Book, share that part with them from this. It may really help them and help us. All right, let's jump into reading. Like I said, bottom of page 83, starting at if we are painstaking, and we'll read through. They will always materialize if we work for them halfway into 84. Here we go. If we are painstaking about this phase of our development, we will be amazed before we are halfway through. We are going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. We will not regret the past, nor wish to shut the door on it. We will comprehend the word serenity, and we will know peace. No matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will see how our experience can benefit others. That feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. We will lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. Self-seeking will slip away. Our whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. Fear of people and of economic insecurity will leave us. We will intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. We will suddenly realize that God is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves. Are these extravagant promises? We think not. They are being fulfilled among us, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. They will always materialize if we work for them. All right, just two paragraphs, but there's a lot of awesome promises in there that I am grateful to see happening in my life. And let's get into this a little bit. Nikki, let's start with you today.
Thank you, Justin. And this is, I mean, there's, oh God, there's so many promises in this book I'm Nikki M., and I believe my book. Let me just start there. I really believe my book. Okay. And so if we are painstaking, that's a key word. Google it. My line out says no half measures. My line out says half measures will avail me nothing. So I have to be painstaking, and I sponsor around the world. And a lot of my sponsees are smarter than me, and they speak multiple languages. So I have them Google this word, know what it means about this phase of our development. We're developing. This is a lifestyle. We're being reborn. We will. See, it doesn't say might. It doesn't say could. It says we will. There's a a reading in AA. It's a yesterday, today, and tomorrow, and it says it's a reading, and I really don't like it because it's like yesterday, blah blah blah, and then we don't know what tomorrow will bring, blah blah blah. But my book says tomorrow will. It's like this is a guaranteed. It says will in here, I think 10 or 9 times. So I'm going to be amazed before we're halfway through. And I put a yes. That's a promise. I am amazed. 180, complete reborn. I'm amazed. I'm going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. I am no longer a slave to whatever that drug of non-choice is. I am not powerless anymore. I have the power of choice between picking up whatever I think I need and not picking it up anymore. I mean, this is these are miracles, you guys. It says, we, Nikki M, will not regret the past, nor wish to shut the door on it. And that is absolutely true. My past is my greatest asset. I help so many people, even my most recent mess up where I lost my mind a few months ago when I was in Europe with my boyfriend and I called the wrong person. I listened to hysterical advice, which it says we're not supposed to. And this experience has helped other people. And I've learned from it and I don't regret it. I'm grateful it happened. It's painful, Justin, but I'm grateful it happened because I will comprehend the word serenity. I understand I need this experience, strength, and hope, not just for me, but for my fellowship, because God showed me how to create the fellowship I crave. These promises are real. I do know peace. I lost my job in COVID. I still don't have a real job. I still don't live with the man I love because I have so many responsibilities, and I know peace on a daily basis. No matter how far down the scale we have gone, I was going to kill myself and kill my lover. I will see that my experience does benefit others. I had 140 people on my noodle meeting this morning from 300 different fellowships of all varieties, and I'm benefiting others. My feeling of uselessness and self-pity, Justin, I was going to kill myself because I didn't have a husband. I still don't have a husband, and I'm filled with usefulness. And there's not a lot of self-pity because I'm Noodle Nikki. I have a mission here. I'm a servant of God. I had to get up and record this podcast today. I have purpose. I will lose interest in selfish things this weekend. I'm a member of CA, and some people don't like me in there because they consider me not a real drug addict. And long story short, I was there doing the food for a roundup this weekend. See, I'm losing interest in selfish things. I'm gaining interest in my fellows who still don't even like me. Self-seeking will just self has slipped away. Yes. You know, if myself was here, Justin and David, I would have sold my house in downtown Toronto. I would be living in Europe, but my mother lives in my home. I'm the power of attorney to my 96-year-old auntie. Now is not the time. My whole attitude upon life has changed because old Nikki would have not just thrown out grandma and everybody else for the man I love. I wouldn't look back, but I'm sitting here starting meetings, towing the line, chopping wood, and carrying water for this fellowship. Fear of people and economic insecurity will leave us. I'm not afraid anymore. It says, I will. See, will intuitively know how to handle a situation that used to baffle me. What do you do when the world is ending? What do you do when you lose your government job? What do you do when your government looks at you and says, you will never fly again? I followed the instructions of my big book. I intuitively knew how to handle a situation. Nikki, COVID's over. No, it's not for me. See, I suddenly realized that God did for me what I could not do for myself in COVID. God paid off my mortgage. In COVID, God sat me still. God sent me Justin B to do a podcast. God sent me Rico 12. God help me. Because I couldn't do it myself in COVID, you guys. This is serious stuff. I want to just bawl like a baby because all of this comes true for me every day. Are these extravagant promises? That's a big no. I think not. And it's coming true for me and all my friends because it's being fulfilled sometimes quickly. Yeah, when you do this work, things can happen real quick and sometimes slowly because God wants to teach me patience. God loves me so much. He has me sitting here waiting, but they will always materialize because I work for them. I'm Nikki M. I've been here 13 years. I'm not leaving. These promises are real. There's 11 or 10 or 9. Someone do the math. That's not my strong subject that it says will do for me. These promises are real. I love this program and I love this. I love these promises. Thank you.
Thank you, Nikki. And I hate to take away work from people that were listening, but I went and I Googled the term painstaking, and I'm just going to read the definition for that, at least the one that I've got here, and there are several other. But taking pains, expending, showing, or involving diligent care and effort. Diligent care and effort. And if I'm not experiencing these promises, maybe I need to look back and say, am I involving diligent care and effort? Anyways, David, why don't you walk us through this next portion, please?
Yeah, absolutely. First word, if, not when. If. I am painstaking, and you just said it. Turn that word around and see what it says. We're going to take a little pain here. Trust me. It's not easy for me to come back and try to make right or wrong that I've done to you and to your family and damn near destroyed your life. So if I'm painstaking or taking a little pain about this phase of my development, I'll be amazed before I'm halfway through. The phase of my development is the 12 steps. Half of 12 is 6, half of 6 is 3. So if you haven't had a new amazement by the time you get to step 3, chances are that you've missed something in 1 and 2. It's a pretty good idea to go back. So going to know a new freedom. Remember at the bottom of page 75, it says, we're building an ark through which we shall walk a new man, a free man at last. We will not regret the past. Remember page 77. That is part of our men that we make the sincere apology and we talk about our regret, admitting our wrong and let me just look at it there for a minute. Go to him with a helpful and forgiving spirit, confessing our former ill feeling and expressing our regret. And so here we are again. We will not regret now because I cleared that up back there. If I didn't do that back there, there's probably some regrets still yet up here. Nor wish to shut the door on it. Why? Because I know today I'm shutting the door on self. I'm not shutting the door on David. It never was David. It was self. It was David taking actions based on self, which created the reality of living hell for him and everyone else. And now that I've seen that, I can take a little pain. I can humble myself. Why? Because I'm going to know a new freedom, new happiness. I'm not going to have any regret. Holy shit. That's what makes me act out, use, drink, beat the hell out of people, go to jail, run around. I mean, those are the things that will drive me to the gates of insanity and death here. I will comprehend. I've never comprehended the word serenity. The only way that I ever found serenity is if you put a needle in my arm, a joint in my mouth, a drink in my hand, and a lady on my lap. Pretty or not, I didn't care. And so that's how I knew peace. That's not how I know peace today. Remember what Bill Wilson said on page 8 of this book. Usefulness, happiness, and peace. He talked about peace. Today I know peace. I really do. Even a couple of years ago, I was in a pretty bad place one more time. And you know what? I have walked away from that shit. I have cleaned that up. I've set some boundaries in my life that I absolutely will not cross or allow anyone else to cross either. Now, I don't give a shit whether they like it or they don't. That is how I find peace. And so no matter how far down the scale I've gone, and I've went way down that scale, trust me, I scale a lot of fish. I'm a fisherman here in Oklahoma, and it's not a pretty sight to scale a fish. I promise you. I scaled a red-tailed hawk yesterday. I better not be talking that on here. I am full-blood Native American, by the way. So let me back up on that. Anyway, be careful on how you scale and who you scale. But down this scale, we're going to see. And man, I love that word see. I'm going to see how my experience can benefit others. I'm not just going to know that. I'm just not going to talk about it. I'm going to see that in the lives of others. I've got guys in, God, you know, Justin, you know, Nikki, I've got guys all across the world that I work with today. I'm seeing those dudes recover and live good lives and be good to their wives and good to their families. My experience has benefited so many others in the last 5 or 6 years. I can't even begin. That feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. Look at that closely. It's not saying uselessness and self-pity will disappear. Look at what it's saying. The feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. Remember, in the beginning of this book study podcast, we've talked all the way through here about feelings, ideas, concepts, beliefs, attitudes, being the self. Right here is telling me the self is going to disappear. And as soldiers, uselessness and self-pity, their ass is going with it. It will disappear. Not maybe, not, you know, if I want to go to 90 meetings in 90 days. No, if I do this right here, it will disappear. I'm going to lose interest in selfish things. It doesn't say I'm going to lose selfish things. Selfish things are always going to be around, but I don't have any interest in that shit anymore. These are the key words that we're looking for here. I'm going to gain a new interest, and it's going to be in you. Page XXVII in the doctor's opinion will really give you some good insights on this if you look. Self-seeking will slip away. I no longer look just to please me and myself. Till I turned down a trip to where was that? Just today, actually, Singapore. They had asked me to come to Singapore this year, and you know, after giving it some prayer and some reflection and some counsel, I think I'm going to take my wife to New York City instead, and we're going to spend about a week and a half there. You know what? I could have went to there and done this, but I told the man, he was like, "Man, we want you here. We need you here. We want you here." I said, "I got a guy in Bali, 3 hours away from you, that has went through this work, and he's living life unlike anybody. Call him." That's something I would have never done before. It'd been like, "Oh, David, geez, going to Singapore, you know, yeah, let's go. I'm gonna teach you some shit over there. Listen to my tapes, you know. It's out on YouTube. It's all over the place. Same as Nikki's. So yeah, I lose interest in selfish things, gain interest in my fellows. My new whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. Upon life. See, I don't see life the way I once did. Remember page 68, fear of people and economic insecurity will leave. It's gone. I intuitively know how to handle situations that used to baffle me. That would have baffled me for days. Should I go to Singapore? This is God's will for me. I'm supposed to carry this message all around the world, yada, yada. What about my wife? What about somebody that I destroyed and spent more money than I ever should have on bullshit when I could have been taking her and spending that time in harmonizing and being in unity in my marriage? Guess where we're going? It's not to Singapore. So we will suddenly, and anytime I see that word suddenly, that tells me a spiritual awakening has taken place. I will suddenly realize. Remember, the word realize connected in the spiritual word is real eyes. I see you with my real eye. I will suddenly, with my real eyes, see that God is doing for me what I could never do for myself. I see that through you. I see that through this. I see that through these things. Look at this. Are these extravagant promises we think not? Think, keyword. They're being fulfilled among us, sometimes quickly. That's the spiritual awakening like Bill had in the book. Sometimes slowly. That's the spiritual experience like many of us have had over a slow period of time. But it's always going to materialize. It's going to become ever present in my life. But there's a condition if I work for it. I had a guy tell me one time, "We don't work for stuff in here." Well, dude, I don't know what book you're reading. My book says, by God, we work. And if you're going to plant potatoes, bring a hoe, because guess who? If you're going to pray for potatoes, bring a hoe, because when it comes to harvest, guess whose ass it's going to work? I can promise you it ain't going to be God. So anyway, you know, there's so much more we could dive into this with this, but time won't allow today. I'm just grateful to be here and be a part of. Thank you so much.
Mm. And thank you, David. You know, as you're going through this, for my takeaway and for this next thing, I'm going to lead us off here a little bit. I realize that these two paragraphs are bookended. We've got the if we are painstaking, if we will work for them. And those I can say at the beginning, if I work for it, no half measures, they'll materialize if I'm painstaking in that process. So that's just bookended there, and I just recognize that right now. So, but what I want to do here for our typical takeaways is I want to ask each of us which one of those promises seems to be most powerful to us at this juncture in our lives. I'm going to lead us off on this one. The one that I've got here is no matter how far down the scale we've gone, we will see how our experience can benefit others. This is something that I've been doing for the last month or so in my nightly journal. The last thing I do, I write, what is my purpose? Why am I still here? And I pause on that and I think and I ask God where he used me today, why I'm still here and what my purpose was. And as I've done that, I can just see that my experience is being used to benefit others, and it is eye-opening and humbling and just amazing to ask that question and see the answer to that promise. Now, let's go to Nikki. What is the promise that kind of you're experiencing most in your life today?
Economic insecurity will leave us. I worship money. I sponsor a lot of women. They use drugs and alcohol to get the men, but they worship the money. They need the money, so they need the men, and they need the drugs to get it. So money is a big thing for me today. I don't need money. I mean, that sounds very radical. It's not that I'm just sitting here doing nothing while waiting for God to tell me what to do. Page 420, I do the next right thing and leave the results up to God. But when I tell you I worship money, that has been completely removed. I'm not worried about it. And I also live as if I'm okay. Am I running up credit cards? No. Am I buying brand new Bugattis? No. But I'm going out for a meal with my friends, not living like a scared that I can't have a fancy coffee and that extra bacon on my cheeseburger. I'm living. And I want to say this, and this is why, because God, the spiritual principles, being loving, being responsible, being humble is doing this for me. So I just love this because this little money whore doesn't care. I'm having a good day no matter what my bank account looks like.
Thanks, Nikki. All right, David, what promise sticks out at you today as something that is most evident in your life at this point of your life?
Well, in this point of my life, it would definitely have to be the second to the last one. We will suddenly realize that God is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves. And I've realized that all along. I mean, that's not been a foreign idea to me. But a year and a half ago or so, I was in a pretty bad place emotionally one more time. And I just thought, you know what? I need to get down to what the root and the branch of this shit really is. And so I really, really went deep into this work. I began to set a lot of boundaries. For years, I didn't wear a wedding ring. I used the excuse that I worked in the oil field, it would tear my finger off. All this other bullshit. All of a sudden, I put it back on. I've never taken it off since. I made a new commitment to my marriage. I made a new commitment to God because if I'm honoring my marriage, I'm honoring God. And I see that today. And so I started doing all this stuff. I started getting into two-way prayer. I really started practicing two-way prayer and meditation. And that was life changing for me this past year. Justin, you've been a big part of that with me, and I'm very grateful for that. You know, I slimmed down my circle of people. I really began to only deal with the ones that was absolutely serious, and I let a shitload of them go that wasn't. And so there's so many things that I could talk about here. For time's sake, I won't. Today, I don't cross those boundaries. I mean, you've heard me say on this podcast many times, if you're a lady, you want to get in touch with me, call my friend Nikki or Justin. It's just the way it is. And I was approached the other night when I spoke at a 600-person event, a live event, and a lady was wanting my number, and I said, "See that lady right there pointing at my wife?" I said, "Get her number. If you want to talk to me, get through to her. And also, your number's floating around Oklahoma, Nikki. So, ladies in Oklahoma, you want to get a hold of me, get a hold of Nikki. She'll get a hold of me. It's just the way it is." So, by doing all that, I say all that to say this: Suddenly, I had a new realization come to me. Holy shit. I couldn't have done that before. I couldn't have told those women that. I might have slipped them a card and said, don't say anything, but yeah, okay. And, and all this bullshit. But no, 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 no. Suddenly, the realization has come. God is now doing for me. And I'm not just talking about staying free from lust, not drinking, not drugging. I'm talking about the behaviors. I see that God is doing for me what I could never do for me because I couldn't do that before. I do it in a roundabout way, just enough. I wouldn't be honest with you. Yes, when you come speak about sex addiction, I'd lie to you about the time that I had. Oh, I've been sober this long and this. No, you haven't, dude. You're lying. Shut the hell up. Tell the truth. And when I did that, wow, the spirit came floating in, and it was just a beautiful thing. So I suddenly realized God's doing for me what I can't do for me, and that's to live emotionally free from self. I cannot do that by myself. There's just no way. I got to have you. I got to have God with skin on, and that's you. So thank you, brother. Good to be here.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Nikki. Thank you all out there in the listening audience. I hope that you take these promises that we've laid out here, that we've gone through here, and if you're working towards this in step 9, looking forward to them materializing in your life. If you've gone through and you aren't realizing this, going back and seeing, where was I not painstaking in this process? Where have I not worked for them in this process? Where is a blind spot that I have that is blocking these off? Anyways, ask yourself these questions. Ask your higher power these questions. And then come join us in this fellowship of the Spirit and trudge this adventurous and amazing road of happy destiny with us. Work it. You are worth it.